Most people struggle to express themselves clearly and confidently, often feeling misunderstood or overlooked. This guide will help you change that. You'll learn simple, practical ways to listen better, speak with purpose, and build real connections every day. No fluff, just real skills that make a real difference. If you're ready to grow and be heard, it starts right here. Chapter 1. Master active listening to understand people deeply and respond wisely. Improving communication begins with mastering the art of listening. This is the foundation upon which all meaningful conversations and relationships are built. Listening is not merely the act of hearing words. It is an intentional, focused effort to understand another person deeply. It requires discipline, patience, and a commitment to seeing beyond the surface of words into the emotions, intentions, and thoughts that lie beneath. Without active listening, communication becomes a shallow exchange, full of misunderstandings and missed opportunities. When mastered, active listening transforms interactions into moments of genuine connection and clarity. To start, recognize that most people listen with the intent to respond rather than to understand. This is a habit that disrupts true communication. The mind is often busy preparing the next comment, the rebuttal, or the advice before the other person even finishes speaking. This impatience is a barrier that prevents real understanding. To improve your communication, this habit must be challenged and replaced with the practice of full presence. Listening is an exercise in discipline. It requires holding back the urge to interrupt or jump in. Instead, train yourself to give your full attention to the speaker, observing their words, tone, and body language with curiosity and respect. Active listening demands more than silence while someone else speaks. It means engaging with what is being said at multiple levels. Begin by quieting your inner dialogue. Notice the impulse to think about unrelated matters or to plan your response. Gently bring your focus back to the speaker. This alone can transform your conversations because it shows that you value the other person's time and perspective. People sense when they are truly heard, and it builds trust instantly. Trust is the soil from which meaningful communication grows. An essential part of active listening is observing non-verbal cues. These often reveal more than the words themselves. Pay attention to facial expressions, gestures, posture, and eye contact. For instance, someone might say they are fine, but their slouched shoulders and avoiding gaze might tell a different story. Learning to read these subtle signals enhances your ability to understand what is really going on beneath the surface. It trains your intuition and deepens your empathy, which in turn strengthens your response. Responding wisely comes after fully understanding. It means your replies are thoughtful, relevant, and respectful. Before responding, take a moment to process what you have heard. This pause is a sign of maturity and restraint. It allows you to filter out any emotional reactions or assumptions that might cloud your judgment. Wise responses build bridges. They create opportunities for clarity, problem-solving, and connection. They turn communication into collaboration rather than conflict. To develop this skill in everyday life, start small. In your next conversation, practice giving your undivided attention. Put away distractions such as your phone or TV. Make eye contact and listen without interrupting. When the speaker finishes, summarize what you heard in your own words to confirm understanding. This simple act of reflecting shows that you are engaged and willing to understand before being understood. It also prevents misunderstandings and keeps the conversation on track. Another practical step is to ask clarifying questions. These questions are not interruptions but invitations for the speaker to elaborate. Examples include, "Can you tell me more about that?" or "What did you mean when you said?" Such questions demonstrate your commitment to grasping the full picture. They also encourage deeper thinking on both sides. Asking questions shifts the conversation from superficial to substantive, which is where growth happens. Listening is also about managing your own emotions. When conversations touch on sensitive topics, it is natural to feel defensive or impatient. However, allowing these emotions to dominate sabotages communication. Practicing self-control and emotional regulation is essential. Techniques like deep breathing or mentally counting to 3 before responding help maintain composure. When you stay calm, you create space for rational dialogue and prevent escalation. An important mindset shift is to view listening as a gift you offer to others. It is one of the greatest ways to show respect and kindness. When people feel heard, they open up more freely and honestly. This openness enriches your understanding and creates deeper connections. Approach each conversation as an opportunity to learn rather than to prove yourself right. This humility invites growth and builds stronger relationships. In professional settings, active listening can transform teamwork and leadership. Leaders who listen well inspire trust and loyalty. They gain insights that others might miss and make better decisions. When employees feel heard, morale and productivity improve. Practice listening during meetings by focusing on the speaker without distractions and acknowledging their points before adding your input. Over time, this habit builds a culture of respect and collaboration. Active listening also plays a crucial role in conflict resolution. When tensions rise, people often feel unheard or misunderstood, which fuels frustration. By deliberately listening to each person's perspective, you validate their feelings and reduce hostility. This approach creates a foundation for finding common ground and mutually acceptable solutions. It requires patience and the courage to stay present, even when conversations are difficult. A common challenge is dealing with internal biases that cloud listening. Everyone brings preconceived notions to conversations, which can distort perception. The antidote is conscious awareness and openness. Recognize when judgments arise and choose to set them aside temporarily. Instead, focus on the facts and feelings being expressed. This practice deepens your ability to understand without jumping to conclusions or making assumptions. Another powerful way to enhance listening is through journaling after significant conversations. Reflect on what you heard, how you responded, and what you could improve. Writing solidifies learning and reveals patterns in your communication habits. It holds you accountable and encourages continuous improvement. Over time, this self-reflection sharpens your listening skills and emotional intelligence. Technology offers tools to aid active listening. For instance, recording meetings with permission allows you to review conversations and catch details you missed. Mindfulness apps can help develop present-moment awareness, a key ingredient in listening fully. However, reliance on technology should not replace the human element of connection. Use tools as support, but prioritize face-to-face or voice interactions where possible, as these carry richer emotional information. Communication is a skill that grows with deliberate practice and patience. Improvement does not happen overnight. It requires daily commitment to being present, attentive, and curious. The reward is immense: deeper relationships, fewer misunderstandings, and a greater ability to influence and inspire. Think of active listening as a muscle you build through consistent effort. Beyond technique, mastering listening is also about cultivating character. It demands humility to admit that you do not have all the answers. It requires respect for others' experiences and perspectives. It invites discipline to put aside distractions and focus fully. And it embodies resilience to remain patient, even when conversations are challenging. These qualities strengthen not only your communication, but your entire approach to life. When you listen well, you model a powerful example for others. People are drawn to those who make them feel valued and understood. This attraction opens doors personally and professionally. It encourages collaboration and fosters community. By committing to master active listening, you step into a leadership role in your own life and influence. Remember, communication is not about winning arguments or proving points. It is about connection and clarity. Active listening is the first step toward that goal. It transforms how you relate to others and how they perceive you. It cultivates empathy, builds trust, and creates opportunities for growth. It is a skill worth investing in daily, because the quality of your communication shapes the quality of your life. Start today by choosing to listen more and speak less. Make it your discipline to fully engage with each person you meet. Notice the difference it makes, not only in your conversations but in your relationships and overall mindset. Embrace the challenge with patience and persistence, knowing that every small improvement adds up to profound change. In time, you will find that you no longer listen simply to respond, but to understand deeply. You will become a source of calm, insight, and wisdom in your interactions. This transformation begins with the simple but powerful act of truly hearing another person. The journey of mastering active listening is a journey toward mastering yourself. Carry this commitment forward as a cornerstone of your personal growth. The ability to listen well will serve you in every area of life: family, friendships, work, and community. It will enhance your resilience and enrich your daily experiences. With each conversation approached as an opportunity to learn and connect, you build a life marked by presence, respect, and meaningful connection. Mastering active listening requires discipline, but rewards you with deeper understanding, stronger relationships, and greater personal peace. Make listening your practice and watch how it transforms your communication and your life. Chapter 2. Practice clear and confident speech to express your ideas boldly. Speaking clearly and confidently is one of the most powerful tools you can develop to express your ideas and influence the world around you. When you communicate with clarity and conviction, your message becomes compelling, your presence commands attention, and your ideas gain the respect they deserve. This skill is not reserved for a select few. It is available to anyone willing to practice with intention and patience. The path to confident speech is a journey of self-awareness, discipline, and consistent effort. Clarity in speech begins with understanding your own thoughts thoroughly. Before you speak, know what you want to say and why it matters. Clear ideas produce clear words. Often confusion in communication arises from unclear thinking. Take time to organize your thoughts. This might mean mentally rehearsing what you want to say, or jotting down key points if the situation allows. When your mind is clear about your message, your words will naturally follow with precision and purpose. Confidence comes from preparation and belief in your message. When you trust that what you have to say is valuable, your voice carries strength. Doubt, hesitation, and second-guessing undermine your speech and cause your words to falter. Building confidence requires a mindset shift. Recognize that your perspective matters and deserves to be heard. This belief will gradually replace fear with assurance, making your communication more assertive and impactful. Speaking with confidence also means controlling your tone and pace. A strong voice is neither rushed nor mumbled. Speak at a steady pace that allows others to follow your ideas comfortably. Enunciate your words clearly, so each one lands with intention. Avoid filler sounds such as ah, or like, which dilute your message and signal uncertainty. Practice breathing deeply to support your voice. Steady breath brings calmness and power to your speech. Another key to clear communication is simplicity. Use straightforward language that your audience can easily grasp. Avoid jargon, technical terms, or overly complex sentences that create barriers to understanding. When you simplify your message, you ensure it reaches more people effectively. This does not mean dumbing down your ideas, but rather presenting them in a way that invites connection rather than confusion. Confidence in speech is enhanced by body language that aligns with your words. Stand or sit upright, maintain appropriate eye contact, and use natural gestures to emphasize key points. These physical cues reinforce your message and signal to others that you are engaged and sincere. When your body and voice are in harmony, your communication becomes more persuasive and authentic. The fear of public speaking or expressing ideas boldly is a common obstacle, but it can be overcome with consistent practice. Start in small, low-pressure settings where you feel safe. Share your thoughts clearly with close friends or family members. Gradually increase the audience size and the stakes as you grow more comfortable. Each successful experience builds confidence and reduces anxiety. Remember that nervousness is normal. It does not mean you are incapable. Listening to yourself is a valuable practice. Record your voice and play it back to notice areas for improvement. Pay attention to your tone, pace, and clarity. Identify any patterns of hesitation or unclear phrasing. Use this feedback to refine your speech. Over time, this process will make your delivery stronger and more polished. Self-awareness is a crucial step in mastering confident communication. Effective communication is not about dominating conversations, but about being understood and respected. It requires balancing confidence with humility. Be open to feedback and willing to adjust your approach. If others ask for clarification, welcome the opportunity to explain your ideas more clearly. This openness shows strength and respect, qualities that enhance your credibility and influence. When you face challenging conversations, maintain your composure and speak with deliberate calmness. Avoid reacting emotionally or rushing your words. Take a moment if needed to gather your thoughts before responding. Speaking with control during tense moments signals maturity and authority. It also helps prevent misunderstandings and keeps the dialogue constructive. Storytelling can be a powerful way to express ideas boldly and memorably. When appropriate, share relevant experiences or examples that illustrate your points. Stories engage listeners emotionally and make abstract concepts tangible. They also showcase your confidence by demonstrating your willingness to be vulnerable and authentic. Crafting simple narratives that support your message strengthens your impact. Practice framing your ideas in positive, solution-oriented language. Instead of focusing on problems or limitations, highlight possibilities and actions. This approach inspires others and positions you as a constructive contributor. Confident speech uplifts and motivates rather than criticizes or complains. It invites collaboration and progress. In daily life, seize opportunities to practice clear and confident speech. Whether at work, social gatherings, or casual conversations, commit to expressing your thoughts intentionally. Challenge yourself to speak up in meetings, share your opinions in group discussions, or simply articulate your needs clearly. With each effort, you build habit and skill. Remember that improving communication is a lifelong process. Even the most skilled speakers continue to refine their craft. Embrace mistakes and imperfections as part of growth. Each conversation is a chance to learn and become better. Celebrate your progress and stay committed to continual improvement. The ability to speak clearly and confidently transforms not only how others perceive you, but also how you perceive yourself. It boosts self-esteem, opens doors to opportunities, and strengthens relationships. When your voice carries conviction, you inspire trust and respect. Your ideas gain momentum and have the power to influence change. Commit to practicing with intention every day. Focus on organizing your thoughts, controlling your tone and pace, using simple language, aligning your body language, and embracing opportunities to speak boldly. Trust in your value and the importance of your message. Cultivate patience and resilience as you grow. Ultimately, speaking clearly and confidently is an act of self-mastery. It requires discipline to prepare and practice, courage to overcome fear, and wisdom to communicate with respect and clarity. This skill shapes your path to personal growth, leadership, and meaningful connection. Let your voice become a powerful instrument of your purpose and vision. Chapter 3. Build empathy by connecting genuinely with others' feelings daily. Empathy is the bridge that connects us to others on a deeply human level. It allows us to see the world through someone else's eyes, to feel their joys and struggles as if they were our own. Building empathy is essential for meaningful communication because it transforms conversations from mere exchanges of words into moments of genuine connection. This connection not only enriches relationships, but also fosters understanding, trust, and respect. To cultivate empathy, start by observing others without judgment. Pay attention to their facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language. These subtle cues reveal emotions that words alone may not fully express. Notice when someone's energy shifts or when their eyes reflect a hidden feeling. Developing this awareness sharpens your sensitivity and opens the door to deeper understanding. Listening with an open heart is the foundation of empathy. It means setting aside your own agenda and truly focusing on the other person's experience. Resist the urge to interrupt, offer immediate solutions, or steer the conversation back to yourself. Instead, listen attentively, allowing silence when needed, and give space for emotions to surface naturally. This kind of presence communicates respect and validates the other person's feelings. Recognizing emotions accurately is crucial in empathetic communication. Label feelings you perceive, such as sadness, frustration, excitement, or fear, and reflect them back to the speaker. Phrases like "it seems like you're feeling overwhelmed" or "I sense excitement in your voice" show that you are attuned to their inner world. This validation can create a safe space where vulnerability is welcomed and authentic dialogue flourishes. Empathy also requires putting yourself in the other person's position, imagining their thoughts, experiences, and challenges. Consider their background, values, and current circumstances that shape their perspective. This mental exercise expands your understanding beyond your own viewpoint and builds compassion. When you truly grasp where someone is coming from, your responses become kinder, more relevant, and more effective. Daily practice is key to strengthening empathy. Engage in small acts of genuine interest toward people you interact with, family, friends, colleagues, or strangers. Ask thoughtful questions that invite sharing, such as "how has your day been?" or "what's been on your mind lately?" Listen not just for information but for emotional undercurrents. These moments accumulate and gradually enhance your emotional intelligence. When conflicts arise, empathy can be a powerful tool to de-escalate tension. By acknowledging the feelings behind disagreements, you shift the focus from blame to understanding. This approach fosters collaboration rather than defensiveness. Instead of reacting impulsively, take a moment to consider the emotions involved and respond with calm curiosity. This mindset transforms conflict into opportunity for growth. Expressing empathy goes beyond silent understanding. Use your words and actions to show care and support. Simple gestures like a reassuring nod, a warm smile, or a gentle touch on the arm can convey empathy powerfully. Verbal affirmations such as "I'm here for you" or "that sounds really tough" strengthen bonds and encourage openness. Authentic empathy creates an atmosphere where people feel heard and valued. Balancing empathy with boundaries is essential to maintain your own emotional well-being. It is important to care deeply without losing yourself in others' feelings. Practice discernment in how much emotional energy you invest, ensuring it does not drain your resilience. Setting healthy limits allows you to sustain empathy consistently without burnout. Self-awareness enhances your ability to empathize. Understand your own emotions and triggers so you can separate them from those of others. When you are grounded in your own experience, you are better equipped to offer genuine empathy without projection or bias. This clarity deepens your presence and effectiveness in communication. Empathy enriches leadership and teamwork by fostering cooperation and morale. When leaders listen empathetically, they build trust and inspire loyalty. Teams that practice empathy communicate more openly, resolve conflicts faster, and innovate collaboratively. Empathy transforms environments into supportive spaces where everyone feels motivated and understood. Technology can challenge empathy by creating distance and distractions, but it also offers opportunities. Use digital tools mindfully to maintain connection, send thoughtful messages, make video calls that allow visual cues, and engage in online communities with respect and care. Being intentional in virtual communication preserves the human element despite physical separation. To embed empathy in your daily life, cultivate curiosity about people's stories. Everyone carries unseen struggles and triumphs. Approach each interaction with humility and openness, ready to learn rather than judge. This mindset shifts your focus from yourself to the shared human experience, enriching your conversations with depth and meaning. Building empathy also means embracing vulnerability. Sharing your own feelings appropriately invites others to do the same. This mutual openness strengthens trust and breaks down walls of isolation. Courage to be vulnerable in communication cultivates authentic relationships and deeper understanding. Remember that empathy is not about fixing problems or offering advice unless asked. It is about presence, acceptance, and emotional resonance. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give is simply to be there fully for someone without rushing to change their experience. Practice noticing moments of empathy in everyday life. Recall times when someone truly understood you or when you connected deeply with another's emotions. Reflect on how those moments felt and how they influenced your relationship. Let these memories inspire you to create similar experiences for others. Empathy nurtures patience and forgiveness. When you see the reasons behind people's actions or reactions, you become less reactive and more compassionate. This perspective softens harsh judgments and fosters peace in communication. It allows relationships to heal and grow stronger over time. Embodying empathy strengthens your own emotional resilience. Feeling connected to others provides support and reduces loneliness. It creates a sense of belonging and purpose, reminding you that you are part of a larger human family. This connection nourishes your spirit and motivates continuous personal growth. Empathy expands your worldview by revealing diverse perspectives. It encourages humility and openness to change. By appreciating differences and commonalities alike, you build bridges across divides and contribute to a more compassionate society. This ripple effect begins with your commitment to empathize daily. Every moment offers an invitation to practice empathy. From casual greetings to difficult conversations, choose to engage with genuine care. This deliberate choice transforms your communication skills and deepens your impact on others. Over time, empathy becomes an effortless habit, shaping your character and relationships. Embracing empathy empowers you to lead by example. Your compassionate communication inspires others to listen and connect more deeply. It fosters a culture of respect and understanding wherever you go. This legacy of empathy enriches your life and the lives of those around you. The practice of empathy is an ongoing journey, not a destination. It requires patience, humility, and a willingness to grow alongside others. Stay committed to this path with kindness toward yourself and those you encounter. Through empathy, your communication transcends words and becomes a force for healing and transformation. Chapter 4. Develop powerful body language that supports your words consistently. Body language is a powerful form of communication that often speaks louder than words. When your physical presence aligns with your message, you create trust, confidence, and clarity. Developing body language that consistently supports your words is an essential skill that strengthens your ability to connect, persuade, and lead. It is not about adopting a fake persona, but about cultivating authentic gestures and posture that reflect your inner confidence and intentions. The first step to mastering powerful body language is awareness. Pay close attention to how you carry yourself in different situations. Notice your posture, facial expressions, hand movements, and eye contact. Many people unconsciously display signs of nervousness or uncertainty, such as slouching, avoiding gaze, or fidgeting. These signals can undermine the impact of even the most well-crafted message. By becoming aware of your habitual physical behaviors, you gain the power to adjust and improve them intentionally. Posture plays a central role in how others perceive you. Standing or sitting upright with your shoulders back conveys strength and readiness. It signals that you respect yourself and your audience. Slumping or shrinking physically communicates insecurity or lack of interest. Practicing good posture not only changes how others see you, but also influences your own mindset. When you stand tall, your brain receives signals of confidence and alertness, which boosts your performance and presence. Eye contact is another crucial element. Looking directly at someone while speaking shows engagement and honesty. It builds connection and signals that you are fully present. Avoiding eye contact can create distance and mistrust. However, it's important to balance gaze, so it feels natural rather than intense or intimidating. When listening, maintain soft eye contact to demonstrate attentiveness without pressure. Hand gestures add emphasis and clarity to your speech. Using open palms and controlled movements invites openness and trust. Gestures that mirror what you are saying reinforce your message visually. Avoid crossing your arms or making abrupt, erratic movements, as these can signal defensiveness or anxiety. Practice purposeful gestures that flow naturally with your words, enhancing rather than distracting from your communication. Facial expressions are windows to your emotions and intentions. A genuine smile can disarm tension and invite warmth. Conversely, a furrowed brow or tight lips may convey stress or disapproval, even if your words are positive. Becoming conscious of your facial reactions helps you align your expressions with your message. This congruence increases authenticity and makes your communication more relatable. Breathing deeply supports calm and grounded body language. When nervous, people tend to take shallow breaths, which tightens muscles and restricts movement. Deep, steady breathing relaxes your body and voice, helping you to project confidence. Before important conversations or presentations, take a few slow breaths to center yourself. This practice prepares both your mind and body to engage effectively. Movement within a space influences how you are perceived. Purposeful steps and measured pacing convey control and engagement. Avoid pacing nervously or standing rigidly still, which can create discomfort for you and your audience. Use your physical space to invite participation and demonstrate openness. For example, leaning slightly forward shows interest and eagerness, while stepping back can indicate thoughtfulness or the need for reflection. Mirroring body language subtly can build rapport and trust. When you gently match another person's posture or gestures, it creates a sense of connection and understanding. This technique should be natural and respectful, avoiding mimicry or exaggeration. Mirroring signals empathy and attentiveness, making conversations smoother and more collaborative. Consistency between your words and body language is vital. Mixed signals, such as saying yes while shaking your head, cause confusion and reduce credibility. Your physical presence must reinforce your verbal message for communication to be effective. Practice aligning your gestures, expressions, and posture with the intent and content of your speech to build trustworthiness. Developing strong body language also involves managing nervous habits. Many people display subtle signs of anxiety, like tapping fingers, biting lips, or shifting weight frequently. Becoming aware of these behaviors enables you to replace them with calmer, more deliberate movements. Techniques such as grounding yourself by feeling your feet firmly on the floor can reduce restlessness and enhance stability. Powerful body language is not about rigid control, but about natural expression of confidence and openness. Authenticity resonates far more than perfection. Focus on being present in your body and using it as an honest extension of your communication. This approach draws others in and creates meaningful engagement. Feedback is an invaluable tool for improvement. Ask trusted friends or mentors to observe your body language during conversations or presentations. Request specific input on areas like posture, gestures, and eye contact. Use their observations to identify blind spots and make targeted adjustments. Video recordings of yourself speaking can also reveal nuances you might miss in the moment. Practice daily to integrate positive body language habits into your natural style. Small, consistent efforts lead to lasting transformation. Stand tall when walking, smile genuinely when greeting others, maintain eye contact during discussions, and use purposeful hand movements when explaining ideas. These simple actions accumulate, shaping a confident physical presence that supports your spoken words. Powerful body language influences not only how others perceive you, but also how you feel about yourself. When you embody confidence physically, your mindset shifts toward greater self-assurance and resilience. This positive feedback loop enhances your overall communication effectiveness and personal growth. Using your body intentionally in communication also increases your influence. People are drawn to those who project strength and authenticity. Leaders who master body language command attention and inspire trust. Whether in one-on-one conversations or public speaking, your physical cues amplify your ability to motivate and persuade. Remember that cultural differences affect interpretations of body language. What is seen as confident in one culture may be perceived differently in another. Being mindful of these differences helps you adapt your non-verbal communication appropriately in diverse contexts. Ultimately, developing powerful body language is a discipline that enriches your entire communication skill set. It requires mindfulness, practice, and a willingness to grow. When your body consistently supports your words, your message gains clarity, impact, and authenticity. This harmony transforms your interactions, builds deeper connections, and elevates your influence in every area of life. Chapter 5. Use storytelling effectively to capture attention and inspire action. Stories have been the foundation of human connection since the beginning of time. They engage the mind and heart in a way that facts and figures alone cannot. Using storytelling effectively in your communication can capture attention, build rapport, and inspire others to take meaningful action. Stories bring ideas to life, making them memorable and relatable. The power of storytelling lies not in complexity, but in authenticity and clarity. Anyone can learn to tell stories that resonate deeply and motivate change. At its core, storytelling is about sharing experiences that evoke emotions and spark imagination. When you tell a story, you invite others into your world. This invitation creates trust and connection, bridging gaps between people. A well-told story simplifies complicated concepts by framing them in a human context. This approach turns abstract ideas into something tangible and actionable. When your communication moves beyond mere information to narrative, it becomes a catalyst for influence. Effective storytelling starts with clarity about your purpose. What is the key message you want to convey? Every story should serve a reason to teach, motivate, persuade, or entertain. Without a clear goal, stories risk becoming distractions or confusing. Identify the central lesson or emotion you want to evoke and build your narrative around it. This focus ensures that your story stays relevant and impactful. Simplicity is essential in storytelling. A story does not need to be elaborate or lengthy to be effective. In fact, concise stories are often more powerful because they hold the listener's attention and deliver the message efficiently. Focus on a few key details that paint a vivid picture and support your main point. Avoid unnecessary tangents or overly complicated plots that dilute the core message. To connect genuinely, your story must be authentic. Speak from your own experience or share real examples that illustrate your message. Authenticity creates credibility and invites empathy. When people sense that you are honest and vulnerable, they are more likely to engage and trust your words. Your willingness to share imperfection and growth encourages others to reflect on their own journey. The structure of your story matters. A clear beginning, middle, and end guide your audience through the narrative. Start by setting the scene to provide context. Introduce the challenge or conflict that creates tension and captures interest. Then describe the actions taken to overcome the obstacle or achieve a goal. Conclude with the resolution or lesson learned. This framework helps maintain flow and ensures your story leads to a meaningful conclusion. Incorporating sensory details enriches your storytelling. Describing sights, sounds, smells, and feelings invites listeners to experience the story fully. When you say the room was silent except for the ticking clock, it creates atmosphere and draws attention. Sensory language makes your story more vivid and memorable. Use it to paint scenes that your audience can picture clearly. Engaging your emotions is critical to inspiring action. People are more motivated by feelings than facts. Share moments of struggle, hope, joy, or failure honestly. Highlight the emotional stakes involved and the impact on real lives. This emotional connection generates empathy and compels your audience to care deeply about the outcome. Practice active listening to discover stories around you. Everyone has stories worth telling that reveal lessons about resilience, courage, or growth. Pay attention to experiences shared by friends, colleagues, or even strangers. When you listen with intention, you gather raw material that can enrich your communication. These stories create common ground and deepen relationships. Timing and delivery affect how your story lands. Speak with appropriate pace, tone, and pauses to build suspense and emphasize key points. A rushed or monotone delivery diminishes impact. Vary your voice and gestures to keep listeners engaged. Your enthusiasm and belief in the story breathe life into your words. Invite participation by encouraging your audience to reflect or respond. Ask questions that connect the story to their own experiences. This interaction creates a shared moment of insight and reinforces the lesson. When listeners see themselves in your story, they are more likely to apply the message to their own lives. Stories also help simplify complex ideas or data. Instead of overwhelming with statistics, embed numbers in a narrative that explains their significance. For example, instead of stating 70% of people struggle with communication, share a story about someone who overcame communication barriers. This approach makes information more digestible and relatable. Repetition of key themes within your stories strengthens retention. Reinforce the main message through different examples or perspectives. This technique helps your audience internalize the lesson and increases the likelihood of action. However, avoid repeating the same phrases or points word for word. Instead, use varied language to keep the story fresh. Visual aids can enhance storytelling, but should never replace the narrative. Images, slides, or props can support your story by illustrating key elements. Use visuals sparingly and strategically to complement your words, not distract. The story itself remains the heart of communication. Stories become more powerful when they reflect universal truths. Themes like perseverance, kindness, failure, and redemption resonate broadly across cultures and experiences. Tap into these timeless motifs to connect on a deeper level. Your unique perspective on these universal themes offers new insights and inspiration. Feedback is crucial to honing your storytelling skills. Share your stories with trusted friends or mentors and ask for honest responses. Notice which parts captivate listeners and which fall flat. Use this feedback to refine your timing, language, and emotional appeal. Continuous practice and adjustment lead to greater effectiveness. Remember that storytelling is a skill developed through experience. Start by telling short stories in everyday conversations. Pay attention to how people respond and learn from each interaction. Over time, expand your repertoire to include stories for different contexts, such as meetings, presentations, or social gatherings. Incorporating stories into your communication makes your message stick. People remember stories long after they forget facts. A compelling narrative creates a mental image and emotional imprint that guides future decisions. Whether you want to inspire a team, persuade a client, or influence a friend, storytelling transforms communication into a memorable experience. The courage to share your story, especially moments of vulnerability or failure, inspires others to grow. It breaks down barriers and humanizes your message. When you use storytelling with intention and care, you empower yourself and those around you to embrace change and take action. Ultimately, storytelling is about connection. It bridges gaps, dissolves misunderstandings, and fosters empathy. By weaving your ideas into stories, you invite others to see the world through your eyes and feel your passion. This invitation to share meaning transforms communication into a powerful force for impact and transformation.
Chapter 6. Manage emotions calmly to communicate under pressure with control. Remaining calm under pressure is one of the most important skills in communication. When emotions are high, it becomes easy to say things that don't reflect your values or your intentions. In difficult moments, your ability to respond rather than react defines how others see you and how you feel about yourself afterward. True strength in communication is not just about choosing the right words, but about staying grounded when your instincts are pushing you toward frustration, anger, or fear. If you want to lead, influence, or build trust, you must be in control of your emotional state before you can expect to influence anyone else's. Managing emotions begins with awareness. You can't control something you don't recognize. Start by noticing the physical signs of emotional buildup. Tightness in your chest, quickened breath, clenched hands, or a rising voice are all indicators that your body is preparing to react. These are not enemies, but signals. Use them as cues to pause. Even one deep breath can disrupt the automatic cycle and give you a second of choice. That moment can be the difference between escalating conflict and creating space for resolution. The goal is not to suppress your emotions, but to direct them intelligently. To build this control, train yourself in moments of calm. Reflect on how you typically react when under pressure.
Replay situations where your emotions got the best of you and ask yourself what triggered you, what you felt, and how you responded. Was there a specific word, tone, or behavior that caused you to feel attacked, dismissed, or judged? Knowing your triggers gives you the ability to prepare for them in advance. When you can predict how you typically respond, you can intervene before the cycle begins again. This is the discipline of emotional maturity. The language you use internally shapes your emotional response externally. If your self-talk is harsh or fearful, it will fuel tension. Replace thoughts like "this always happens to me," or "I can't believe they did that," with "I can handle this," or "what is the best way to respond right now?" Your inner voice is not just a running commentary, it becomes your emotional anchor. Training your mind to speak to you with calmness, clarity, and purpose will show up in how you speak to others, especially when it matters most. When in conversation, especially in high-stress moments, slow down your pace. When you speak too quickly, it's often because your thoughts are racing and your body is in a state of urgency. Pausing between sentences, breathing before replying, and allowing silence to settle can diffuse tension without saying anything. People often misread rapid responses as defensive or aggressive. Slowing your rhythm projects steadiness, which can calm the atmosphere and allow both sides to think clearly. The less reactive you appear, the more people trust your presence. Listening deeply during conflict is another powerful form of control. Rather than focusing on what you're going to say next or how unfair something feels, shift your attention to understanding the other person's position. This doesn't mean you agree, it means you are choosing to create space for clarity. Often people raise their voices, not to be hostile, but to feel heard. By genuinely listening, you may find that what felt like a personal attack was actually an expression of pain, insecurity, or fear. Understanding this doesn't weaken your position, it strengthens your ability to respond from a place of wisdom rather than ego. Your tone of voice is just as important as your words. Even a helpful suggestion can sound critical if delivered with impatience or irritation. Monitor your tone the same way you'd monitor your posture during a job interview. Calm, steady, and grounded speech creates safety in conversation. If others feel you are in control of yourself, they are more likely to be honest, open, and responsive. And when things do get heated, naming the emotion without letting it take over can have a disarming effect. Saying something like, "I'm starting to feel frustrated, and I want to stay constructive," lets others know that you're self-aware and committed to respectful communication. Sometimes, managing your emotions means choosing to step away. There are moments when continuing the conversation would only lead to more harm. Giving yourself permission to pause, gather your thoughts, and return when you're ready is not weakness, it is self-respect. It shows discipline. You don't owe anyone instant emotional availability. You owe yourself the time to think clearly and return with the energy that reflects who you truly are. A short break can restore long-term trust and ensure that when you do speak, your words reflect thoughtfulness, not reactivity. In high-stakes situations, preparation is your ally. If you anticipate a challenging conversation, spend time planning not just what you want to say, but how you want to feel during the conversation. Visualize yourself staying calm, being curious instead of critical, and speaking with purpose. This mental rehearsal builds confidence and reduces the likelihood of being thrown off course by emotion. The more often you mentally and emotionally prepare, the more your responses will reflect intention rather than impulse. It's also helpful to check in with your body regularly. Stress accumulates silently. During long meetings, intense discussions, or stressful days, take brief moments to notice your breath, relax your shoulders, and ground your feet. These small actions help regulate your nervous system and keep you from spiraling into reactive states. When you make these practices part of your day, you create a baseline of calm that carries into every conversation. Emotional control doesn't mean emotional coldness. It means using your emotions to guide rather than drive your behavior. You can still express concern, passion, or disappointment, but you do it in a way that builds understanding instead of division. Expressing emotion clearly and respectfully deepens connection. Hiding or denying your feelings creates distance, so learn to name your emotions, own them, and express them in a way that invites connection rather than blame. When someone challenges you, the real test is not in your rebuttal, but in your stability. People respect those who remain anchored when the wind is strong. Anyone can speak well when everything is calm, but those who lead do so when others are losing balance. Your steadiness becomes a source of calm for everyone around you. This is the quiet power of emotional control. It shapes not only your communication, but the environment itself. Consistently practicing emotional control will also transform your self-respect. You will begin to trust yourself more deeply. You will know that you can enter any room, face any conversation, and handle it with grace. That kind of confidence can't be faked. It is earned through discipline and self-awareness. Over time, you stop fearing confrontation because you have built the inner tools to stay centered, no matter what unfolds. When you become a person who manages emotions calmly, your relationships shift. People come to you for guidance, not just because you're knowledgeable, but because you're grounded. They feel safer around you. They listen more. They open up. Your presence becomes one that promotes clarity, not confusion. And in a world that often moves too fast and reacts too quickly, being that kind of communicator is not just rare, it is invaluable.
Chapter 7. Ask thoughtful questions to encourage meaningful and productive conversations. Asking the right question at the right time is one of the most powerful tools for building strong relationships, gaining insight, and guiding conversations toward clarity and growth. Thoughtful questions open doors that statements often close. They invite others to reflect, to share honestly, and to consider new perspectives without feeling pushed or judged. In every interaction, there is a choice between dominating the conversation or creating space for it to unfold with mutual respect and depth. Thoughtful questions signal that you are not only present but engaged in a meaningful way. They reveal a mindset of curiosity rather than control, a desire to understand rather than impress. To become someone who leads with questions instead of assumptions, you must first shift how you view communication. Most people listen to respond. Few listen to understand, and fewer still ask questions that move beyond surface-level exchanges. A thoughtful question is not just about gathering facts. It's about inviting a person to explore something with you. When you ask questions that are rooted in sincerity, you offer a mirror for the other person to see themselves more clearly. This can lead to breakthrough insights, deeper connections, and more productive conversations. The best questions are specific enough to spark reflection, but open-ended enough to avoid simple yes or no answers. They begin with words like what, how, or why, not because they are grammatically correct, but because they encourage exploration. Instead of asking, "Did you like it?" ask, "What part of that experience stood out to you?" Instead of, "Are you okay?" ask, "What are you feeling most right now?" These kinds of questions let people know that you care about the richness of their experience, not just the headline summary. They also reduce the pressure people feel to have a polished answer. When people feel safe to speak freely, the conversation becomes real. Thoughtful questioning is especially important in situations of conflict or misunderstanding. When emotions are high, accusations and assumptions tend to dominate. Instead of escalating the tension with counterarguments, you can de-escalate by asking questions that refocus attention. Questions like, "What do you need from me right now?" or "What's the part of this that matters most to you?" can shift the energy from defensiveness to cooperation. You're not giving up your point of view, you're creating room for both perspectives to exist. This creates a bridge rather than a wall. Asking meaningful questions also builds trust over time. People remember those who make them feel heard. If someone knows that when they speak to you, they won't be rushed, corrected, or dismissed, they will speak more openly. Trust is not built through impressive words, but through intentional presence. A well-placed question tells someone, "You matter enough for me to want to understand you better." In a world where so many conversations are transactional,
This kind of attention feels rare and powerful. To develop this skill, start by paying attention to how often you ask questions in your daily conversations. Reflect on the types of questions you use. Are they shallow or thoughtful? Are they designed to truly understand or just to fill silence? Practice replacing statements with questions. Instead of saying, "That must have been hard," try asking, "What was the hardest part for you?" Instead of saying, "You should try this," consider asking, "Have you thought about trying something different?" You don't need to have all the answers. Being the one who asks the right questions is often more valuable than being the one who always gives advice. Another important aspect of thoughtful questioning is timing. Not every moment calls for a deep dive. Some questions are best saved for quiet moments, for one-on-one conversations, or when the person seems ready to open up. If someone is visibly overwhelmed or distracted, pushing for deeper responses can feel intrusive. Be sensitive to the emotional tone of the moment. Thoughtfulness is not just about the content of the question, but also about when and how it's asked. When you approach someone with patience and care, your question lands more gently and has a greater chance of leading somewhere meaningful. The tone you use when asking questions also matters. A curious tone invites openness. A sharp or sarcastic tone can shut people down. Even a helpful question can be misunderstood if the delivery feels harsh or impatient. Practice asking with warmth, with genuine interest, and with the kind of humility that says, "I want to learn, not judge." When you lead with humility, people will often give you more honest answers because they feel respected. Over time, asking thoughtful questions becomes a habit that influences every area of life. In professional settings, it can improve collaboration, solve problems more effectively, and create a culture of shared ownership. In personal relationships, it can prevent small misunderstandings from becoming lasting conflicts. In self-reflection, it can lead to greater clarity about your own choices, goals, and growth. Asking yourself questions like, "What am I avoiding?" or "What do I need to do today to feel proud of myself?" can drive daily accountability and long-term transformation. A person who asks good questions is often seen as a leader, not because they control the room, but because they guide it toward insight. They elevate the quality of conversation. They help others think more clearly, feel more deeply, and connect more fully. You can become that person, not by trying to be impressive, but by being genuinely interested in people's experiences and ideas. There's also a quiet strength in not rushing to fill every silence. Sometimes the most powerful part of a question is the space it creates. If someone doesn't answer right away, resist the urge to jump in. Let the pause do its work. Silence gives people room to access thoughts they might not normally share. It gives weight to the moment. When people realize you're not rushing them, they open up more naturally. You don't need to ask 100 questions to make an impact. One well-timed, well-framed question can shift the direction of a conversation completely. It can bring clarity to confusion. It can turn frustration into problem-solving. It can take a casual exchange and make it memorable. The key is intention. Ask not to appear wise, but to serve the moment. Ask not to gain an advantage, but to build understanding. Ask not to fill time, but to invite truth. This skill is accessible to anyone, regardless of background, status, or experience. Woe doesn't require perfect language. It requires presence. It requires listening. It requires care. Every person you meet carries a story, a struggle, a desire to be seen. Your questions can help unlock those stories. Your questions can help people find their own strength. Your questions can guide conversations toward growth, not just comfort. Over time, as you become someone who consistently asks thoughtful questions, you will notice that people begin to respond to you differently. They will share more. They will remember how they felt in your presence. They will associate you with clarity, with calm, with a sense of importance. And in that role, you'll find that your communication carries more weight, not because you speak more, but because when you speak, it invites something real. That is the mark of someone who doesn't just talk well, but who helps others think better.
Chapter 8.
Give honest and constructive feedback to help others grow confidently. Giving feedback is one of the most powerful tools for building others up, but it must be handled with care, honesty, and purpose. Too many people shy away from it because they're afraid of offending someone or being misunderstood. Others give it without thinking, leaving behind confusion or discouragement. Yet when done right, honest and constructive feedback becomes a gift that helps someone grow stronger, more confident, and more self-aware. It's not about pointing out faults to feel superior. It's about helping another person see what they might not see and offering a path forward with clarity and compassion. Growth only happens when we're willing to look at reality, and feedback is one of the clearest mirrors we can offer to another person. To give feedback that leads to growth rather than resentment, you have to begin with the right intention. You can't fake care. If you don't genuinely want the other person to succeed, your words will feel cold or self-serving. Before you open your mouth, check your motivation. Are you giving this feedback to help or to criticize? Are you trying to serve the person or control the outcome? The moment your purpose is rooted in support rather than superiority, your tone, your timing, and your language all start to shift naturally towards something more helpful. People can sense when your feedback is rooted in respect. That feeling makes them far more open to listening and reflecting. Being honest does not mean being harsh. In fact, bluntness often causes people to shut down. It's possible to speak the truth without hurting someone's sense of dignity. The best feedback leaves people thinking, not bleeding. Instead of focusing on what they did wrong, focus on what they can do better. Use words that highlight possibility, not just problems. Instead of saying, "That presentation was boring," say, "If you added more personal stories, it could connect more with your audience." Instead of saying, "You didn't do this right," say, "Here's one thing that could make this stronger next time." This approach doesn't soften the truth, it sharpens its usefulness. Timing matters. Giving feedback when someone is emotional, distracted, or overwhelmed rarely leads to growth. Choose a moment when the person is able to hear you, not just tolerate you. Don't deliver constructive feedback in front of others unless you've already built a culture of openness and respect. Most people process better when they don't feel exposed or embarrassed. One-on-one conversations done in a calm and private setting are often the most effective space for honest exchange. When the environment is right, the message is easier to receive. Clarity is more valuable than cleverness. Don't dress up your message in vague language. Be direct but be kind. Avoid generalizations. "You always do this," or "You never listen," are not only inaccurate but damaging. Focus on specific behaviors. Point to actions, not character. Instead of saying, "You're careless," say, "I noticed the report had a few mistakes. Double-checking the numbers would make it stronger." This helps the other person know exactly what to improve without feeling like their entire identity is under attack. Clear, behavior-focused feedback removes defensiveness and invites improvement. The best feedback includes a balance of what went well and what could be better. If you only focus on the negative, the other person may feel defeated or discouraged. If you only highlight the positive, they won't know how to grow. A balanced approach tells them, "You're doing some things well, and here's how to go even further." This builds confidence while still raising the bar. Growth isn't about tearing someone down to rebuild them. It's about building on what already exists and pushing toward more potential. Every person has something they do well. Start there, then stretch forward. Feedback becomes even more powerful when it's a two-way street. Ask the other person how they experience the situation. Ask what they think they could have done differently. This not only shows respect, but also builds self-awareness. You're not just handing them a conclusion, you're inviting them into reflection. Sometimes people already know where they fell short, and your role is simply to affirm it and offer support. When they feel ownership of the insight, they're far more likely to change. Another key to effective feedback is consistency. Don't wait for something to go wrong before you speak up. Regular, thoughtful feedback, both positive and constructive, creates a culture where improvement is normal, not personal. If the only time someone hears from you is when there's a problem, they'll associate your voice with stress. But if you're regularly pointing out strengths and offering guidance, your feedback becomes part of how they grow, not something they fear. Consistency builds trust, and trust makes your words matter more. You must also be willing to receive feedback as well as give it. If you want others to grow, show them that you're still growing too. Ask for feedback often, respond to it calmly, say thank you even when it's hard to hear. This creates an environment where feedback is not a judgment, but a tool for progress. People are far more likely to accept your input when they've seen you accept it yourself. Leadership is not about being above correction. It's about being the first to model what continuous growth looks like. It's also important to follow up. Don't assume that one conversation is enough. If you've given someone constructive feedback, check in with them later. Ask how they're doing with the change. Offer encouragement or further suggestions. Growth is a process, not a switch. By following up, you show that your feedback wasn't just a moment, it was an investment. You're not just pointing something out and walking away, you're walking with them through the process of improvement. When you give feedback with honesty, clarity, and compassion, you don't just help others perform better, you help them believe in themselves. You help them see that they are capable of more. You help them understand that you see potential in them, and that's why you're speaking up. This kind of communication builds strong teams, deep relationships, and lasting trust. It transforms criticism into care. It turns difficult conversations into moments of growth. The ability to give good feedback is not a personality trait. It's a skill anyone can learn. It starts with listening, it grows with practice, and it becomes powerful when it's grounded in the desire to help others move forward. Feedback done well is not about being right, it's about being useful. It's about creating space where truth and support can exist at the same time. When you speak honestly and kindly, you give others permission to do the same. You create a ripple effect of courage, and in a world where many people stay silent out of fear, your voice can become a steady and trustworthy guide. Not everyone will like what you say, but if you speak with integrity and purpose, the right people will grow because of it, and that is what makes the effort worthwhile. Chapter 9. Adapt your communication style to fit different people and situations. Every conversation is different because every person is different. If you want to communicate effectively, you need to become flexible. One approach doesn't work with everyone. What helps one person open up might make another feel defensive. What one group finds clear, another might find confusing. True communicators understand that the message matters, but the way you deliver it matters just as much. Communication is not just about what you say, but how you adjust to the person in front of you. It's about meeting people where they are, not where you wish they were. Adapting your communication style starts with awareness. You have to pay attention to how people respond to you. If someone pulls back when you speak, don't just push harder. Adjust. If someone seems confused by your explanation, don't repeat the same words louder. Reframe it. Watch body language. Listen to tone. Notice energy shifts. People often show you how they want to be spoken to if you care enough to notice. The more observant you are, the more effective you become. Everyone has a different way of receiving information. Some people need details and data. Others need big-picture thinking. Some want empathy and connection. Others value directness and efficiency. When you slow down enough to recognize someone's communication preference, you can speak in a way that resonates instead of just sounds good. For example, if you're speaking with someone who is highly analytical, focus on clarity and logic. If you're talking with someone who's emotionally expressive, speak from the heart and share stories. Adjusting doesn't mean being fake, it means being wise enough to reach someone in a way they can hear. Adapting also means understanding the context. How you speak in a job interview is different from how you speak to a lifelong friend. What works in a group meeting might not work in a one-on-one.
A high-pressure moment demands calm confidence, while a casual catch-up may require openness and warmth. Every situation has its own rhythm. Your job is to read the moment and respond accordingly. It's not about changing who you are. It's about using your skills to connect in the most meaningful way possible. People often assume that being yourself means staying the same in every interaction, but being yourself doesn't mean being inflexible. It means showing up with integrity while using your intelligence to make others feel understood. It's not dishonest to adjust your tone or language if your goal is connection. It's thoughtful. It shows that you care enough to make the message easy to receive. Some people need encouragement. Others need challenge. Some people need space to talk. Others need clarity and direction. When you adapt with empathy, you become someone others want to talk to. You can't expect to influence people if you don't understand them. That understanding only comes from listening deeply. Ask questions. Invite people to share how they like to communicate. Pay attention to their preferences. Do they speak slowly and thoughtfully, or do they prefer quick and direct communication? Do they respond to emotion or logic? Are they open or guarded? These clues help you fine-tune your approach. The goal is never to manipulate, but to connect more meaningfully. People are far more likely to hear you when they feel seen by you. Part of adapting is managing your own assumptions. Just because something works for you doesn't mean it works for others. Just because you find something clear doesn't mean others will. Be humble enough to recognize that your default way of communicating is not universal. Challenge yourself to grow beyond your comfort zone. Try speaking more directly if you usually soften everything. Practice active listening if you tend to talk more than you hear. Push yourself to match the situation rather than forcing the situation to match you. One of the most powerful ways to adapt is to match energy without losing your own. If someone is quiet, lower your volume. If someone is enthusiastic, respond with energy. But don't pretend to be someone you're not. The point is to bridge the gap, not abandon yourself. Adaptation is not about pleasing people. It's about making your communication more effective. That means being flexible while staying grounded in your values. When you adapt with purpose, you communicate with greater clarity and compassion. Your tone matters just as much as your words. You can say the same thing in 100 different ways, and each one will land differently depending on your tone. A soft voice can calm a tense room. A steady tone can lead in uncertainty. A warm tone can invite trust. When you pay attention to how your voice makes others feel, you start to notice the power it holds. Use it wisely. Speak not just to be heard, but to help others feel safe, respected, and included. Different cultures, backgrounds, and experiences also shape how people understand communication. What feels respectful in one culture may feel distant in another. What feels assertive in one group may feel aggressive in another. This is why adaptability requires humility. Don't assume you're right just because you've always done it a certain way. Be willing to learn. Be willing to ask. Be willing to adjust. The more open you are to other ways of being, the more skillful your communication becomes. Adapting also means being patient. Not everyone processes things at the same speed. Some people need time to reflect before they respond. Others prefer to talk things through immediately. Some need to write things down. Others prefer to brainstorm out loud. Don't rush people into your preferred style. Instead, create space for different rhythms. Flexibility with time and process can turn a frustrating conversation into a productive one. It's important to remember that being adaptable doesn't mean being passive. It means being intentional. You are choosing your words, tone, and timing with care. You are adjusting not to avoid conflict, but to increase understanding. That takes strength, not weakness. That takes awareness, not avoidance. When you adapt with intention, you take responsibility for making communication easier, clearer, and more empowering. If you want to be trusted, become the kind of person who makes others feel understood. If you want to be respected, become the kind of communicator who listens before speaking.
If you want to be effective, become the kind of leader who changes your approach when the moment calls for it. Communication is not about showing off your knowledge. It's about creating connection, clarity, and momentum in every interaction. Every day gives you a chance to practice this. In meetings with family, in public, online, every conversation is an opportunity to sharpen your adaptability. Notice when something isn't working. Instead of getting frustrated, adjust your style, use a different word, change your pace, shift your focus. These small shifts can change everything. The more flexible you become, the more effective you get. Not because you're saying more, but because you're saying what truly fits the moment. Being adaptable in your communication is not just a skill, it's a form of respect. It's how you say, "I care enough to make this easier for you to understand." It's how you build bridges instead of walls. It's how you turn hard conversations into helpful ones. And it's how you earn the right to influence others in a lasting and meaningful way. Chapter 10. Commit to daily small improvements that build lasting communication habits. Improving how you communicate is not something that happens all at once. It's not the result of a single lesson or one powerful moment. It is built piece by piece, day after day, through small actions that become habits. If you want to speak with clarity, connect with people more easily, and be understood the way you intend, the only way to make it last is by committing to small steps every day. One honest reflection, one intentional conversation, one focused listening session. These are the bricks that form the foundation of lasting change. Start with one area you know you need to strengthen. Maybe you interrupt too often, or you avoid eye contact, or you rush your thoughts before you fully express them. Pick one thing and work on it, not occasionally, but consistently. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just need to notice it. Change begins the moment you stop operating on autopilot and start paying attention. Each time you catch yourself and choose a better response, you're creating a new pattern. There's a reason most people never improve their communication. They assume improvement requires something dramatic, like taking a class or giving a speech. But communication isn't something you just do on stage. It happens in every conversation. That means you don't have to wait for the big moments. You can practice in the small ones, how you greet someone, how you explain an idea, how you respond when someone disagrees. All of it is a chance to improve. Small improvements are powerful because they're realistic. You don't need to master public speaking in 1 week. You don't need to eliminate every bad habit overnight. You just need to commit to progress. Decide that every day you will be 1% better than the day before. You will pause before speaking. You will listen with more intention. You will take a moment to ask, "Was I clear just now?" These efforts might seem small, but over time they transform the way people see you and how you see yourself. A strong communicator isn't someone who knows everything. It's someone who learns from every interaction. They reflect after conversations. They pay attention to what worked and what didn't. They're willing to admit when they spoke too fast or too vaguely or didn't really listen. They aren't discouraged by mistakes because they know mistakes are proof they're practicing. That mindset of steady improvement without shame is what separates people who grow from those who stay stuck. The habit of daily improvement requires discipline. You have to care enough to do the work even when no one is watching. There's no applause for practicing your tone or asking better questions or rewriting an email for clarity. But that's where the change happens. Most people want the result, but not the repetition. If you show up for the repetitions, the small moments where no one else sees, you will get results that others only dream about. The beauty of habits is that they don't rely on motivation. Once something becomes part of your daily rhythm, you no longer need to think about it, you just do it. But before it becomes automatic, you have to be intentional. Set reminders if you need to. Keep a simple journal where you track how you handled key conversations. Take 10 minutes each night to reflect. What did I do well today? Where did I miss an opportunity to communicate better? What can I do differently tomorrow? These small check-ins keep you moving forward. Another part of building lasting habits is surrounding yourself with people who value strong communication. Pay attention to how the best communicators you know carry themselves. Watch how they handle disagreement. Notice how they explain complex ideas. Learn from them. Ask them questions. And even more importantly, practice with them. Feedback from people you trust is one of the most valuable tools you can use to get better. As you improve, you'll begin to notice things other people don't. You'll catch the tension in someone's voice. You'll sense when a message needs more clarity. You'll know when to speak and when to stay quiet. These instincts are not magic. They're built through repetition and self-awareness. What once felt like hard work will begin to feel natural, but it only becomes natural because you chose to work at it consistently every single day. You also need to be patient with yourself. Growth doesn't always show up immediately. You might go days or even weeks without seeing a noticeable difference, but that doesn't mean it's not working. Improvement often happens below the surface. Keep doing the work. Over time, you'll find yourself responding with more clarity under pressure. You'll notice your conversations becoming easier. You'll realize that people are listening to you more, not because you've changed who you are, but because you've worked to become more precise and intentional with how you speak. One way to stay motivated is to remember why this matters. Better communication doesn't just help you succeed professionally, it makes your relationships stronger, make conflict easier to navigate. It helps you express your ideas, your needs, your boundaries. It allows you to lead, to support, to inspire. Every time you improve how you speak or listen, you're improving how you live. That's why it's worth the daily effort. Consistency also builds confidence. When you commit to showing up every day with the goal of being a little better, you start to trust yourself more. You begin to feel more prepared, more grounded, more capable. Confidence doesn't come from talent. It comes from doing the work over and over until your skills become reliable. If you want to feel more confident in your communication, the most powerful thing you can do is build habits you trust. You will face days where you feel like nothing is working. You'll slip into old habits. You'll have a conversation where you walk away frustrated. Don't let that stop you. These moments are part of the process. What matters most is what you do next. Do you give up, or do you use that moment as fuel to do better tomorrow? If you keep choosing to grow even on the hard days, you will build habits that last a lifetime. Improvement doesn't need to be complicated. If you commit to being present in each conversation, to listening fully, to speaking with clarity, and to learning from every interaction, you will improve. You don't need to do everything at once. Just choose one thing to work on each day, one habit at a time, one conversation at a time. That's how real, lasting change is made. This is not about perfection, it's about progress. Each step you take, each mistake you learn from, each time you choose to pause and respond instead of react, you are building something strong. Over weeks and months, those small decisions add up. They create the kind of communicator who earns trust, who brings people together, who leads with clarity and kindness. That's who you're becoming. Keep going.